Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Larry Bodenheimer and today we're taking a look at PyBlankStealer. Now PyBlankStealer is a 64-bit Trojan written for modern Windows operating systems, and as you can tell we are giving a throwback to the Threat Insights portal today because this is where I found it. So as we can see up here, the malware name is shellappruntime.exe. It was last analyzed 23 minutes ago, and the size is 13.69 megabytes. It was uploaded by a guest account, and it has no reputation as nobody has voted on it. When we come down to detections, we can see that Reversing Labs gives it Win64.Trojan.PyBlankStealer antivirus. Virus Total gives it 33 out of 76 detections, with Teddy/Python being the popular threat labels. AnyRun gives it a 100% threat level 2 malicious activity. Kaspersky OpenTip does classify it as malware. UnpackMe classifies it as malicious blank grabber. Hatching Triage gives it a 10 out of 10 for malicious scale. And CyberFortress gives it a 99.9% malicious confidence with Autorun, Neshta, and Delphi, which is interesting enough. If we take a look at Virus Total, was this actually packed using Delphi? I didn't even think about that in testing. Also, here are your popular threat tags. Portable executable, checks network adapters, detects debug environment, clipboard, spreader, checks BIOS, overlay, checks USB bus. Persistence, calls WMI, long sleeps, invalid signature, checks disk space sign, and 64 bits. So they pretty much just slapped everything onto this one. But it may be true. And we're not going to spend much time on Virus Total today. If you want to check the detections, details, relations, behavior, and community score, the MD5, SHA-1, and SHA-256, couldn't think of the names, will be in the comment section down below. So going back to here, this is also the information that you're going to want. Here's all your good stuff here, again in the comments. Now that we've taken a look at that, let's go ahead and minimize this and take a look at the properties of the file. So it looks like a little settings gear icon. And if we go to details, we can see shell app runtime with a pretty legitimate looking file version, pretty legitimate product name, good file version, and good copyright. I would probably fall for this. Now if we go to digital signatures, it's got the Accio Consulting signature, which we've seen before on the channel, and the timestamp is April 25th. If we go to details, we can see this digital signature is not valid. Email is not available, and the signer is Semantic SHA, probably 256. Yep, timestamping signer G3. So this is an invalid signature. That's one way to know that it's malicious because it doesn't work. We'll go ahead and close that. And now we'll go ahead and take a look at the programs we'll be using to analyze the malware. I'm going to put them in the order of my choosing because that kind of annoys me, and I'll close these folders as well. We have Firefox. Shouldn't have clicked that. We all knew that. System Informer. It's not Process Hacker anymore. Can you tell I'm rusty? Process Monitor, Wireshark, and Zooey. So we'll go ahead and reset the packet capture. We'll go ahead and reset the process capture. We'll go ahead and open up System Informer. And without any further ado, let's run us some malware. Do you want to allow this app from an unknown publisher to make changes to your device? Shell app runtime.exe, show more details. Here's what you get. We'll go ahead and run this, and as you can see, we've got Task Manager, or command prompt, that immediately opens, and over here in System Informer, we've got a bunch of crap going on. So now we have error code 0x33. As you can see, a bunch of stuff did just close, and it looked like Firefox opened and closed as well. But we're not done yet, so we've got MSHTA, we're still opening a bunch of PowerShell scripts, and now what we've got just hanging out and chilling, we've got synaptics.exe, which is going to stay open for the entirety of the analysis, and cachebound.exe, which is going to stay open for a pretty good while, but it will eventually close out as well. This was not in testing. We did see this in testing, but it didn't just stay present on the computer. That may close once we close the error code box. And yes, it did. So these are the only two things that we should have running after all that, and that is correct. I don't see anything malicious or suspicious up here. So we're good. And we have this, what I can only imagine is a fake screen. your computer ID. We've got this ID here. It says, please enter your activation code. In testing, I didn't put anything, and I clicked activate, and it worked. He air quotes, worked. So I'm just going to put, I don't know. There we go. There's my activation code. Thank you for entering activation code. Please restart the program. So when I did this in testing and didn't put anything, this box didn't even show up. So that's interesting. We'll click OK. And now Cashbound closes. So I imagine it probably just errored and crashed last time since I didn't enter anything. But as we can all tell, it immediately just popped up and said, thank you for activating. It didn't check to see if it was a valid code or anything. It's obviously not a legitimate program. So we'll go ahead and take a look at Wireshark. And we have a little bit of traffic, but if we scroll up, we can see the vast majority of this is an IPv6. And up here, we have a bunch of duplicate acknowledgement packets for TCP. And we've also got some malformed packets. Now, this is very interesting because we've never actually seen anything classified as a malformed packet on this channel. Script Kitty L, and I've actually never seen it in red. That must be from the new update. So, expert info, error malformed packet, exception occurred. And here's your packet. And it's going to do this with all of these, and as you can see in the middle, it says TCP acknowledged unseen segment. So this is all coming from an IPv6 address. And as you can see, we have a bunch of this traffic going on. A whole bunch. And of course, once we take a look at our lovely, lovely process monitor, I will go ahead and stop this packet capture, and we'll load it through Zooey as well. So go ahead and minimize that. And we will go ahead and open Process Monitor. So as you can see, we have 6 million events. Not a huge amount for the amount of time that's gone by, but we will probably stop it not too much later. So process name is going to be, I know it started with, it didn't start with setup, it started with shell. Shell app runtime, and then operation is going to be create file. So click add and apply. And it will take a few seconds because we do have quite a few events that have been processed by the process monitor. Although it usually doesn't take this long. There we go. And as you can see, we have almost 8,000 events. Now, I'm not going to read through every single one of these. However, fortunately, I'm not going to have to. Now, if we come through here, we should immediately see some pretty interesting things. So we've got some .pyds, which is a pretty good indicator that this malware was written in Python. However, if you've looked at the tags and obviously, PyBlankStealer, you probably had already guessed that. And then we've got an rreg.key, rar.exe. Matter of fact, if I jump to that really quick, it looks like that has unfortunately been deleted, so we can't pull that up. We'll keep going. We got VC runtime 140.dll. We see that a lot. Base library.zip in the same temp folder. Python 3.dll, ctypes.pyd. And then rreg.key again. Python 3.1.1, so it was probably written in Python version 3.11, which makes sense. lzma.pyd. Base library.zip. sqlite. Now, I haven't seen it yet, and I'm not going to spoil it for you. Also, here we go, email, HTTP. But there is something that we've seen on the channel before, which is pretty bad. But I'm surprised it hasn't come through my vision yet. Now, here we go. This isn't what I was talking about. However, we can see that it is accessing the startup directory. Now, if we go to startup programs and open this folder, it doesn't look like there's anything that has to do with the malware inside of here. However, if I had to guess, this probably doesn't really process until the computer restarts, and we're probably going to get this little file here, the synaptics.exe, under a different name. So this is probably a rat, or remote access Trojan, instead of just a simple info stealer, if I had to guess. Now here's what I was talking about earlier. program files, common files, SSL, openssl.cnf, which means OpenSSL was installed on the computer. So that's great. Now, we do have this random string.zip in the temp directory. If we wanted to jump here, it, true to its word in process monitor, has been deleted, unfortunately. And here is the sample template LumaStealer script. All the browsers, all the stuff. I'm not going to look through this, obviously. However, it does look for a few unique things we haven't seen before. So we've got T-Launcher profiles, and if you don't know, T-Launcher is basically a Minecraft launcher for cracked profiles. We also have Meteor Client. I'm not sure what that is, but I'd imagine it's like T-Launcher. Novaline, alts.novo. We got cheatbreaker underscore accounts. Alts.text. Unfortunately, that's not here because we don't have Minecraft on the device. Intent launcher. So we got a few interesting things, and it does also look for other clients. Badlion, PolyMC. I've not heard of a lot of these because I don't play Minecraft nearly as much as I used to, but it's still interesting that it's there. It does also query everything in the programs folder in start menu, so just something to keep in mind. Now, we're not going to look through this because we've seen LumaStealer on the channel. Half of the malware we look at has the LumaStealer script inside of it. So fortunately, we can skip like 6,000 events because we've all seen this before. And if we keep going, we can't go all the way to the very bottom, but here we go. It sees that it's calling cmd.exe. There's that zip folder, which unfortunately is no longer here, as we've seen already. So it does a pretty good job of hiding its tracks, but as we go on, we'll be able to see that we still, what's the words I'm looking for, that it doesn't hide everything that it does. So as you can see, we've also got a bunch of credentials. So it looks for your Brave autofills, your Brave history, and if you don't know, by the way, Brave is a browser, your Edge history, and then desktop documents, downloads, music, pictures, and videos. Simple enough. But then we also get display and antivirus, MAC addresses, system info, and task list. So this is the big number that we're looking for. Pretty bad. And obviously the rest of these aren't great. Now, if we do try to jump to these, they're no longer here. However, it doesn't hide everything that it does. So if we go to C, users, Larry, that's me, app data, local, and temp, we can see that while we can't find the folder that was here, we can see that there is a bound.exe in the temp directory. And if we click properties and go to details, there are no details. So that's probably the thing that we're going to see on startup, if I had to guess. I could be wrong. I haven't done the restart in testing because I like to keep some of this blind so you guys can see my actual impressions rather than everything being scripted. But if I had to guess, that's probably what we're going to see. We also have this random string.ini. In testing, it was a different string, so that's how I know it came from the malware. And if we edit it, we see HTML language English, and we've got the sample error 404 not found that you would see basically on a Google web page if the link you try to go to does not exist. So there you go. It's basically like an HTML file. I don't see anything else here except for the np command run.log. If we open this, np command run, command line, C program files, Windows Defender, remove definitions all. So it's weird that it just dropped this in the temp directory for us to see, but basically this makes, how do I put this? This makes your Windows Defender entirely useless. So in this case, it doesn't look like it has disabled it, at least in this script. It may have absolutely disabled it somewhere else. And obviously for this virtual machine, we do have it disabled. But it looks like you can run anything on here now and Windows won't catch it. So that's pretty interesting. We'll go ahead and close this, and we do obviously have other things to look at. So the next one I want to look at, we want to go to filter, and we want to replace shell app runtime with, if I could select this, Synaptics. So we'll add that and apply. And it looks like we have 13 million events at this point. So the malware has done everything interesting that it's going to. After it analyzes this, I am going to go ahead and pause the process capture. And also, while it's doing this, I am going to stop the packet capture. We're going to save it as 1.pcap. And we're going to go over here to Zooey, import data, documents, 1.pcap.ng, and we'll let that do its thing. So it looks like this is done, and we have 514 events. So we'll look through here really quick. We'll also go ahead and pause that, because I forgot. And we'll see if we see anything interesting. So it's calling its own program, that's fine. Win4.Net, these are a bunch of DLLs we've seen before on the channel, so I won't go through them unless we see anything unique. It does actually make a note of the fact that we're using Fiddler. I don't know if it's not stopping the malware from running because Fiddler is not running and we just have it downloaded. I have seen malware do that before, but as you can see, it's querying our requests and our responses and our scripts. We go through here, it also finds the video tools folder, doesn't care what's in there. It calls the main program, the shell app runtime, and it makes a note, I think, of VMware tools that are installed. Although it may have just been I saw video tools and testing, and that's what my brain went with. We do see that there is a temporary executable. However, that is no longer here, and you guys could probably tell that because we were looking at temp not too long ago. In tmarta.dll, what else do we have here? We have an ICO for that same executable, also not there. We've got Synaptics WS, and keep going. Is there anything else interesting here? We have a webio.dll. That probably has come with the computer, but I've not seen it before. And we see a bunch of stuff happening in local low for most likely Microsoft Edge. And then it calls that INI that we saw earlier. And then you got your history.ie5. All right, now the last thing we could take a look at, because I like to be thorough, we can go ahead and replace synaptics.exe with a cachebound.exe. However, you guys are going to see pretty quickly why that's a pretty bad idea. It's going to take a little longer to load. So 20 seconds. So at this point, go get yourself a cup of coffee, make some popcorn, whatever else you feel like doing. 3, 2, 1, and we're done. Now, the main reason why that's a bad idea, you may have already seen it, there's 151,000 events. So obviously I'm not going to look through all of these. I think I would rather just analyze it statically at that point. However, if we look through here, let's go, oh, that's way too slow. If we look for anything, it's querying the Brave VPN helper. So it really is making a note of the browsers that you have installed. And to test this, I did actually install Brave. If you've seen my videos before, you'll have known that we only had Firefox and Edge. However, I did install Brave to see if it would actually start querying its installed files, and as you can see, it does. However, once you move on, it's very clear when you take a look at VMware drivers for Windows 8, and you think, oh my god, it knows we're running VMware. But then you start to look through, and it's really just like querying every single program that's installed on the computer. It doesn't care that you have VMware installed, because it probably doesn't even know what VMware is. So there's no point in looking through all of that. I did just want to show you guys because it was running for so long, you may have thought, oh, there might be something interesting there. It's just querying everything you have on the device. So that's the last interesting thing to look at. Now we'll go ahead and open up Zooey. We'll put it in full screen and we'll query the pool. Unable to determine date range using TS. What? Query pool. Why is it not doing anything? That's odd. Okay. Maybe I just have to try again. Yeah, because that's not working. I have never seen it do that before, and I haven't updated this. Load error, no records in request? Okay, That is interesting. Let's try a save as, and I don't know, packet captor goes here. Because I'm sure it'll reanalyze it when it's under a different name. But yeah, that's very odd. So import data. Load error, no records and requests. Okay, let me try restarting Zooey. And we can go ahead and close this as well. I don't think it's a memory issue, because it's only using 4 gigs, but we're done with it anyway. And then I'll go ahead and reopen Zooey. I've never seen it do that before. We'll import data. Load error, no records and request. Huh. Okay. Well, we'll still see everything that we needed to see through VirusTotal. However, we can't open Firefox. Can we open Edge? No, we cannot. I have a theory. Look at that! Oh, that's interesting. I wish we hadn't closed Process Monitor so quickly. This is... This is not only a rat, this is also a file-infecting virus. That's very interesting. Okay. Let's go ahead and restart the computer. I was not planning on this. I didn't run the malware long enough in testing to see any file infection. I didn't try to load the Zooey script. I didn't try to reopen the browsers. So that's on me. But this will make for an interesting video. And if we open this, please tell me we can open Process Monitor. Nope, that's the wrong one. System Informer. Unable to load the following plugins. And as you can see, that blank name.scr just ran in the background. So that is our persistent file. It just was not found. Oh, but it still works. Okay. We do have a conhost.exe running here, but I think that's legitimate. Here we go. System2.exe and synapt1.exe. Synaptics pointing device driver. What is this over here? Do you want to allow this app from an unknown publisher to make changes to your device? Sure, why not? And now we have Synaptics running in the background. And fileco1.exe, which pretends to be a OneDrive co-authoring executable. That is very unique. Huh. Now I have to wonder if I should put virus in the title or Trojan, because neither one of them is incorrect. I guess that's going to be it for PyBlankStealer. Okay. That's one way to end a video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy the video and you're new to the channel, please make sure to leave a like, leave a comment in the comment section down below, and let me know what you would like to see next. My name is Larry Bodenheimer. You guys have been amazing, and I will see you in the next one.